Hello, lovely humans, and welcome back to Off the Record.
It's good to see you again. This week on the show, Finding Your 30.
Sport Weekly covers the EPL season.
And we cover everything Avengers. My name's Ashley Dryhurst.
And I'm Sophie Evans.
Now, guys, don't forget to follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Off the Record LT. And if you do miss out on the show, you can rewatch it on our Upstart Magazine YouTube or on our Facebook page, Upstart Magazine.
YouTube.
Now, how's your week been so far?
Oh, I'm very tired. Is it really the middle of the week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wednesday, about halfway.
Well, normally it's sort of that like downhill, towards the weekend.
Yeah, I suppose it really depends on what you do. I work in retail. Weekends are like the busiest time of the week.
Days and those days don't mean anything to you. Oh, well, I do remember when I was like that too.
Yeah, good times. Now,
What?
when it came to the cool jar, it was all about how I say cool.
I didn't catch you out that many times, did I?
No, but we're changing it up this week. It is no longer the cool jar. It's the Sophie doesn't get the reference jar.
Oh no.
Let's
Oh,
line that one
no.
up. Other way.
Oh no.
Now,
Okay.
we all know that Sophie doesn't get any references.
I don't
anything.
watch stuff.
I found out this morning that she still hasn't seen the first Jurassic Park film. Is that coinable? Is that a coinable offense?
Is it?
I think you should test it out.
Oh, first coin in the jar. Before it's even. Oh my god! Before the show's even started.
Good start. Now, what's happening in the news today, Sophie?
Making news this week. A 27-year-old man has been stabbed outside the Glen Waverley police station in Melbourne's east following a road rage incident. The man fought with another driver on the Tullamarine Freeway and was pursued for over 30 kilometres across Melbourne's western suburbs. The man is in a stable condition and has been taken to the Alfred Hospital. And in a moment reminiscent of the Egg Boy a few months ago, a woman dubbed Egg Girl has been charged with assault after attempting to hit Prime Minister Scott Morrison with an egg. The incident took place at a Country Women's Association event in Albury where Scott Morrison was campaigning. The woman was found to be in possession of cannabis and will face court on the 27th of May. The Labor Party has written to Chinese social media app WeChat after concerns that the app is being used to spread fake news. Anti-Labor Party accounts on the app have been using the names of Australian news companies to make false claims regarding Australian immigration. The accounts have been confirmed to be operated by Chinese citizens due to WeChat's rules about every account being registered to mainland China. 2 suspects have been taken into custody after opening fire at a science and technology school in Colorado, USA. At least 7 students have been injured in the shooting. Students were evacuated to nearby rec centres. The shooting took place less than 10 kilometres away from Columbine, where one of the most infamous school shootings in American history took place. That's what's making news this week. Not a lot of good stuff.
No, and I feel like we find ourselves repeating over and over again the same issues. Like last week we were talking about negligence while driving, and to think that this has happened. The chase was 30 kilometres? 30-kilometre chase, and then he was clearly distressed, went to a police station, and still got stabbed out the front of it.
What makes people so angry? Everyone just wants to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, and then we're talking, like, we're recapping, we've got a new egg person.
Yeah, that's kind of... One of the things I heard, like, in the radio driving, was that the egg didn't break.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Like, I didn't see the footage. Did she straight up,
I think the egg went over the top, and she just continued and pretty much slapped him on the back of the head.
But then the egg would definitely break.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it slipped out of her hand.
Oh, okay. Well, and the other thing was that the girl, like in her moment of eggs slipping out of her hand, apparently she knocked over a 70-year-old lady.
I don't think you should justify violence with, like, humour. I don't think it's right. And the meme for Egg Boy, it was funny for a week, taken a little bit too seriously, but I really hope that we don't turn it into something that just gets repeated over and over and over again.
Well, they've jumped on it and charged her, so...
Yeah, so fingers crossed
get away with it.
that's the end of it. And the shooting, again, just repeated news, like repeated tragedy. It shouldn't happen.
It's really concerning, and I don't know if this is an uneducated question, but why schools?
If you're asking my opinion, I would say school is often probably the worst time for most people. Like people at school, it's this dome that they think that they're locked in with. Like everything revolves around school. So often a lot of hate. They don't realize how big the world actually is, and they could possibly fit in other areas, other social areas.
But we're technically in school.
Technically. We're a little bit smarter than that, and we have better gun laws. That's all I have to say about that one.
I'd like to think we are.
Now, guys, the Australian government has launched your Find Your 30 initiative. Jack Soparis has more to tell us.
Find Your 30 is a federal government initiative that focuses on helping Australians of all ages lead an active lifestyle.
Being physically fit is a state of health and well-being. So physical fitness is the ability of the body to resist disease, for example, and to effectively and efficiently react in emergency situations against disease.
An inactive approach to living can affect more than just physical health.
It has been well researched, or it has been shown by research, the benefits of being active, okay, physically active. So research has shown and established that there are social, emotional, and health benefits when you are active. For example, one of the social benefits of being active is that it creates opportunities for you to go out with your friends. So what is going to happen if you are not physically active? You are missing that opportunity, and you are increasing the risk possibly of being socially isolated.
The concept of doing 30 minutes of activity per day can seem like a lot, but it may not be as daunting as it seems.
That you have to complete 30 minutes, or those recommendations of 30 minutes per day in one session. And no, you don't have to. You can actually perform that activity 10 minutes in here, 10 minutes in there, and during your day. That is a common misconception in terms of the recommendations.
The World Health Organization recognizes insufficient physical activity, for instance, between males and females.
If we have a look at men, they are sitting in the yellow categories, saying 20 to 30% of males are inactive in Australia. And it's you can compare these with, for example, United States, okay? So they are in the same color. Whereas if you've got the same picture considering women, then we go one level up for them.
Incorporating physical activity into your daily routine will make finding your 30 a swish. Jack Soparis, off the record.
Now, guys, we do want to apologize quickly. We're having technical issues where the stream's not running. So you will have to catch up with us on our Facebook and Upstart, like we said. So Facebook is our Upstart Magazine webpage, and it's Upstart Magazine and on YouTube as well. So we'll catch you up there. Sorry about any issues. But finding your 30, it's really important.
How do you find your 30?
So, quick story. Backstory of Ashley. Came down to Melbourne probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was about 90 kilos when I first got down here.
90?
90, yeah. And for a very short man, that's a very large amount of weight. And I lost that by cycling every day.
Cycling?
Yeah. So I do think that the Find Your 30 initiative is really important because it's about changing your lifestyle. Not essentially going on a diet because I ate so much garbage. But I just did the exercise that you needed to do, and it makes it a huge difference. Unfortunately, I got hit by a car, and I'm now struggling to keep that weight off. Oof. Now that I don't have that cycling, that 30-minute cycling. So finding it, being safe at the same time, but finding that 30 minutes is really important. And it can change your life. It changed mine, and it can change yours.
Speaking of physical activity, moving over to sport this week, and Tom has a special guest to help him recap the EPL season. Have a look.
Hey, welcome to Sport Weekly. I'm Tom, and Jack isn't here this week, but we've got a Soccer Mad fan here. Dinch, good to meet you.
Good to meet you too, mate. How you going?
Yeah, all right. So I understand you're a massive soccer fan.
Love it.
So you're obviously watched the English Premier League this year.
Definitely, yeah.
How have you seen this season of the English Premier League?
As a neutral supporter, very satisfied, very different, and especially like with the title race that's going on now with Manchester City and Liverpool, it's intense. So having that in the EPL, it's amazing.
Which other team has impressed you the most this year?
Arsenal, just because Arsene Wenger leaving the club, it was.
And he's been at Arsenal for a very long time.
Yeah, I think it's about 2 decades or just a bit over, I think, or something like that. I don't know. I think it was 2 decades. But I think Arsenal, yeah, they're very impressive because Unai Emery is a coach that's never coached in the English Premier League. For him to come and bring his philosophy into this team,
so for Arsenal to have taken a gamble on a untried coach, it seems to have paid off for them.
Next season, you'll start seeing better results, I believe. Arsenal's definitely impressed me. Also Tottenham, being their rival, as awkward as it sounds, but Tottenham as well, because they didn't buy anyone from the market this season. Players such as Son, such as Rose, Trippier, like all these players had to step up even more.
Which teams have not lived up to expectations?
Manchester United and Chelsea, definitely. Didn't have to think twice about that, because just where they're sitting right now on the ladder.
Manchester United and Chelsea are sitting 5th and 6th on the table at the moment, right? Which in any other competition, you chalk that up as a win.
Definitely.
But in the Premier League, that's a huge disappointment for such heavyweights.
Definitely, yeah, because top 4 are Champions League spots,
yeah.
And then Europa League is 5th and 6th. If you're Manchester United and Chelsea, you've got to be challenging for like 2nd or 3rd at least, you know what I mean? Not even 4th.
You've got to be in the title race until the very end.
Definitely, yeah.
And who have been some of the best players in the English Premier League this season?
Bernardo Silva's definitely up there for Manchester City. Guardiola's a coach that, if you're training and you have attitude, he's not going to play you the next game. He pushed Bernardo Silva. He's bringing the best out of him. Yeah, definitely. If Guardiola's not happy, then you're not playing.
Any other players?
Van Dijk for Liverpool. He's won the PFA Player of the Year.
And as a centre-back, that's a very rare achievement.
Massive. That's massive, man. And I believe he deserves it. Like he scores goals. He scores goals. Like he's a big threat in that box. He's big. He's tall. He's not backing out of any challenge, whether that's defending or attacking. So, and yeah, as you said, for a centre-back, it's amazing.
That'll do it for this week on Sport Weekly. Special thanks to Dinch for coming to chat to us.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
But for now, it's back to Steph and Ash in the studio.
Thank you very much, Tom. Now, joining us in the studio today, we have Dr. Nasha Baffin, the Unipol La Trobe Coordinator. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem at all.
So, would you be able to tell us a bit about Unipol?
Yeah, absolutely. So I teach journalism here at La Trobe, and Unipol is basically a collaborative effort between the different journalism schools at universities across Australia. So last year, the Victorian-based universities collaborated together to cover the state elections. And the reason they do that is pretty much it's an exercise in resources. Mm-hmm. It's also a bit of experience for students who are interested in politics and who'd like to get a little bit of political reporting experience. So what happens is, with the state election last year, we joined with RMIT, with Monash, Swinburne, and Deakin universities, and we divvied up the electorates. So each university got 2 or 3 electorates to cover at a state level, and we did that at a very small sort of at a small sort of project level. Now, this federal Unipol Watch is quite ginormous. So we're collaborating with universities from Perth, from Queensland, and each of us has a couple of electorates to cover. So the journalism students at each university cover a couple of electorates, and by cover, that means that they do stories for both online and audio, TV packages as well. And these stories involve interviews with candidates, so we profile every single candidate. for the electorates that we're given, and we do stories involving, we do electorate profiles, so what's so special about the electorate, for instance, that La Trobe is in. So we're in the federal seat of Cooper. And the thing about Cooper is it's a place where the Greens and the ALP have sort of battled together. So it's a battle of the progressives. It's historically a working class seat. It's becoming more gentrified, and you've got two distinct socioeconomic sort of categories of people living here. And it's an area where there's a lot of young people, where La Trobe is located, and it's an area where voters are concerned about things like refugee rights, the environment, that sort of thing. So it really is, they've called it the battle for Bell Street. So we do stories about all of this sort of thing, and we profile every single candidate and put it up both online as well as on the night of the election. We'll be joining with other journalism students to cover the election for Channel 31.
Channel 31.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a pretty great experience for students just wanting to get into that type of journalism.
It's a really big cross between journalism and politics.
It is. You might know that recently the Department of Media here, I mean, it has no impact on the journalism and the media courses here at La Trobe, but our department recently joined with politics. So we have a Department of Politics, Media and Philosophy. And I had to check there because the department's name is constantly changing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. Some people might say it's a bit of a strange mix, but I think that there's politics inherent in most things. There's politics in fashion, there's politics in sport, and certainly for students who are interested in political journalism and politics, a good knowledge of the way the political system works and how it impacts people, I guess, is a handy skill to have for a potential journalism, someone working in journalism.
Yeah, and even going the other direction, how much journalism impacts politics, and just having that full scope, I think it's a really good opportunity for them.
Yeah, that's a really great point, particularly with increasing use of social media these days. Some people might question whether or not the traditional media is still needed. I would argue it definitely is. I mean, you don't want to be listening to your mechanic about what impact the budget will have. I think traditional media still has a role to play in unpacking the developments that come out of Canberra and how they affect us.
Yeah, and they do help translate kind of what does come out of social media into, they essentially just iron it out and give you the important stuff as opposed to a lot of the jargon that you get in your social media.
That's it. And also I find social media to be quite a strange beast because I'm probably going to be talking in stereotypes, but I find people's mothers and grandparents are on Facebook. Young people are usually on Instagram. Does anyone use Snapchat anymore? I don't know. But I do find that somewhere like Twitter perhaps might be a case of journalists talking to other journalists. I think being able to use all of these platforms is a crucial skill for potential journalists and reporters, but most, shall we say, ordinary people, most non-journalists or non-academics or politicians even maybe are not on Twitter so much, and certainly we've seen some of the ones who have been on social media, some of them have been disendorsed and have had to step back from actually running as candidates because of silly things they've said years ago. So there's lessons in that, I think, for everyone.
Yeah. Now, if someone wants to get into Unipol or get involved in Unipol, where would they go? Okay,
so we're wrapping up now for the federal election. So the 18th is the actual election night. We're certainly going to continue to be involved with the Junction. So the Junction is a collaborative website. It's hosted by Melbourne Uni, but anyone can sort of contribute to it who is a journalism student, and will be certainly involved with future, collaborative reporting efforts. There's a big project on reporting climate change that's coming up. So things like that will definitely let journalism students know about that, and media industries and sports journalism and PR students as well. But you can always drop me an email and ask to get involved. Sorry? So it's my first initial, so it's n.bahfen at La Trobe.
At La Trobe.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. Now, guys, we're heading over to the Culture Corner where we cover all things Avengers. Hey guys, welcome back to the Culture Corner. I'm Atheos.
I'm Doritos.
And on the Culture Corner, we bring you pop culture news and game reviews. On the 24th of April, an era for all comic book lovers came to an end with Avengers Endgame.
Don't worry guys though, we're not going to spoil
No
anything.
spoilers at all. Endgame is the final chapter in the Avengers series. If you don't know what we're talking about, let us explain.
The Avengers franchise is the only one within the MCU that brings all the characters together to fight against one threat challenging Earth.
Now, if you haven't seen any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting with Iron Man 1, which came out in 2008, I have no idea where you've been. The Marvel films total gross is $18.5 billion. It's the biggest franchise ever on film. Now, before we go into how we think the films have gone so far, we do want to help you out with a chronological order of when you should watch the films. Not their release dates, but where they are in the storyline itself. Captain America, the First Avenger. Captain Marvel, Iron Man. Iron Man 2,
Thor, The Incredible Hulk, Avengers, Iron Man 3, Thor, The Dark World, Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Captain America Civil War, Black Panther, Spider-Man Homecoming, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Doctor Strange, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War,
and Avengers Endgame. Well, now that you're on top of the order in which you should watch it, you can go home and watch the whole series itself. If you watched it in the order that it was released, it's quite an experience to watch it from chronological order instead of release date, because it's quite interesting to see how the story shapes over time, giving these characters really important feelings, really important storylines to make you fall in love with the characters. And when it came to the Avengers films, bringing them all together was really good. And with Endgame, I cried in many places because of how I felt connected to every character.
So I personally think that Endgame is my favorite Marvel film that has ever been made. It is so intricate, so in-depth, so many good themes and storylines that they just flourished and really cherished. They didn't even, at no point did you feel like you were ripped off or that you were annoyed by anything. Like, every decision felt purposeful and meaningful. So last week, guys, we got you to tweet at us questions about Endgame, and here are some of the questions that you guys asked.
The first one, we have George Chinesky. Do you have to see all the Marvel Cinematic Universe films to understand Endgame?
I'd say you kind of have to see at least some of them. There are some that really add to the storyline, and if you probably don't see it, you'll be a little lost with some characters as to how they have their powers, even references that they make to past battles, past movies, all that kind of stuff. You'll probably be quite a bit lost if you don't see at least all the Avengers films, because they all lead up to that one moment.
We have Melissa724. Who dies in Endgame? No.
No. And we have Matthew Harson asking, if you could have only one Infinity Stone, which would you choose? I actually would have to think about that. I reckon probably the Time Stone. I reckon if you had either space or time, you kind of control everything in the galaxy in a way, because everything revolves around space and time, science. But the Time Stone would be interesting because if you make a mistake, you just go back in time and then forget about it, and hopefully cover a lot of mistakes or things you may do wrong.
Now guys, who would you want to be? What powers did you want? Let us know at OTR Culture on our Twitter page. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Matthias.
And I've been Dorito.
Look forward to seeing you next time, okay?
Bye, guys.
Bye. Now, Endgame was pretty amazing. Sophie, if you had a superpower, what would you have?
A superpower.
Don't overthink it.
I'd have like if I could sort of manipulate time, that would be really useful, because I'd be never late to anything ever again.
No, fair enough, fair enough. Mine's telekinesis, but I think because I'm mischievous.
And we also have Lakshmi in the studio to tell us what's going on in Melbourne this week. Lakshmi?
Hello. So this week we actually have, we're partway through the Melbourne Theatre Company's season for COSI. That's happening at the South Bank Theatre Complex. You're very excited.
COSI?
I can see you. Yes.
I know that. I know that play. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you might have actually studied it in school. It's
Performed.
Australian. Performed.
Performed.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, that gives me memories.
Yeah, it is a classic play by Lewis Nowra, and it's actually semi-autobiographical. Did you know that?
I didn't.
No. So it's happening actually until the 8th of June 2019. There's evening and matinee shows. And so for those of you who don't know the play, it's set in Australia during the 1970s at a psychiatric institution, and it follows Lewis, who is this aspiring director. He's a little bit broke, so he decides to go direct this production of the Mozart opera, Così fan tutti, and it's starring the patients of the psychiatric institution.
One of the things I really like about Così is even now, like how long after it was made, we still have friends that are like each one of the characters.
Oh,
like
yeah,
we all
definitely.
know a Doug, we all know a Cherry. I would say that I'm a Cherry,
Yeah.
a food-loving enthusiast.
Be a little worried if you did know a pyromaniac.
Oh, I'm pretty sure everyone liked fire when they were young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe everyone's got a little.
Should I admit that out loud?
It's a dark comedy with an ensemble of lovable characters. It's funny, it's warm-hearted, and you've definitely got to see it if you haven't seen it. You can book tickets through the MTC website, and they do actually have cheaper tickets for if you're under 30. These are, I think, for this show about $40, around the $40 mark, but they're definitely well worth it. It's actually been 25 years since the Melbourne Theatre Company did this show last. Yeah, so they did it last time in 1994, and now they've completely changed the cast.
It's a
all
real
modern
refresher.
Yeah, and so if theatre's not quite your forte, we also have the Rocky Road Festival of Flavours, and this is happening in 2 locations. One is at the Yarra Valley Chocolaterie and the Great Ocean Road Chocolaterie. This is on until the end of the month, and it's every day from 9 to 5. And so what this is it's a massive festival to celebrate the classic Rocky Road.
And chocolatey
Yeah.
goodness.
Because why not?
Hey, unpopular opinion, I never liked Rocky Road.
I love Rocky Road.
I'm more of a chocolate purist.
A chocolate purist? Well,
Yeah.
actually, they have 31 new flavours of Rocky Road, including salted caramel, rum and raisin, or you might even like some of the experimental ones. Turkish Delight, satay peanut.
I can't stand Turkish Delight, but
I love Turkish Delight.
Satay peanut does sound pretty good.
Yeah.
A little bit of chili, a little bit of peanut. I'm down.
Yeah, I wonder if that's actually sweet or savoury. Anyway, so there's also an all-day cafe serving Rocky Road-inspired cuisine, and if that is not enough chocolate for you, you can take part in a 45-minute class where you can taste 7 flavours of Rocky Road and also make your own Rocky Road to take home. And this is actually a really good deal. It's $18 for this, but you've got to book for this. So
Yeah, I can imagine it being super popular.
yeah.
I mean, even someone who doesn't like Rocky Road all too much, I would want to get my hands in and make my own. I would probably give it away to friends.
Oh, how
But
benevolent.
I think that's a well $18 spent,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of a drive away, so you can make a day trip. You can go to Torquay and surf off the calories.
Road trip.
Is there,
Yeah.
is there an ingredient that you would avoid putting in that's a standard?
I'm gonna say caramel because it would just go everywhere. I feel.
That's true.
I can't do marshmallows.
You can't
I
do
think marshmallows
marshmallows?
ruin
wrong with
chocolate.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah. So as always, if you do go, take some pictures and post it and tag our page as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for reminding me that I should not do this show on an empty stomach. But that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, even if it's not live.
Now, guys, don't forget to follow us on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Off the Record LT, and you can rewatch this show on our Facebook and YouTube app, Upstart Magazine.
I'm Sophie Evans.
I've been Ashley Dryhurst.
Bye for now.
See you guys.